Danny is a former British soldier who's been on trial in Iraq for the murder of 2 colleagues while he was out there working for G4S as a private security contractor. And this morning the criminal court in Iraq found Danny guilty of murder, but to our relief did not sentence him to death, which was a distinct possibility, and instead imposed a life sentence, which we understand in Iraq means a sentence of 20 years in prison. I think Danny has been extremely fortunate to have a very supportive family, and they've stood by him through this whole time at great personal cost to themselves, but they've never stopped fighting for their son, and I'm enormously proud of them.
You know, I mean, it's very, very sad. 2 families have lost their daddies, their partners, their sons, and they are grieving and upset and devastated. And one poor little girl, you know, has never even met her daddy, and that is a massive, massive shame. But like I said, it's just a tragedy for everybody. It's a tragedy for Danny, because Danny is now facing an awful long time in a horrendous situation, and really we feel very strongly he shouldn't be there. He shouldn't have been allowed to go back into Iraq. We feel we've let him down. We feel we should have got treatment and help for him, but we also feel the Ministry of Defence have let him down and continue to let down an awful lot of these young soldiers who come out with PTSD and aren't offered any help for it. When he actually came out of the army, yeah, we noticed an awful lot of difference in him. We noticed differences in his behaviour. There are an awful lot of incidents that we could talk about. One in particular, one evening about 11 o'clock, Eric got a phone call from Danny's mum saying, "You need to come over here and sort him out, or else I'm going to have to ring the police. He's outside, he's swearing, he's being abusive." And when Eric got there, he was hiding in a wheelie bin. And every now and again the wheelie bin would come up a little bit and Danny would look out. We now know, because we've looked at PTSD, that was hypervigilance, and that he was in a state of you know, watching out. He thought he was under attack. He thought somebody was following him, but we didn't know. Eric offered to take him home, and he said no, he'd get himself home, and he set off to walk home. Eric gave him 10 minutes and followed him, and just came home about 3 hours later, and it's only about a 2-mile walk, and he was hours later, and he said, "Oh, he's been playing soldier." He said he's been doubling back, he's been hiding behind trees, hiding behind walls, and he said he's been playing soldier. But that is just, now we know, such a classic PTSD. That's what they're constantly doing. He wasn't playing soldier, he was frightened, he thought somebody was following him, he was in fear of his life, and that is just one of the incidents that we could talk about a lot more. Like I said, if we'd have realised at the time how poorly he was, then we would have got help for him, and then we wouldn't have been in this awful situation that we're in.
Yeah. How did you feel when you heard about the verdict this morning?
Obviously we were euphoric to begin with, really relieved, because if he'd been given the death sentence this morning, I think it's just a sick feeling in the pit of your stomach. It's awful, it's not nice. So at first we were euphoric, but we still have massive concerns, because Danny for the last few weeks has been constantly saying he cannot end up in Rusafa jail, which is the main jail out there. He says it's full of Al-Qaeda, Taliban, Mujahideen, all of these people. He said, and I will be a target, and he said, I just won't last. He said, I will be a dead man if they put me in there. So we really are concerned that wherever he does end up, he is safe. He has also said that if they talk about putting him in Rusafa jail, he will take his own life first. So that's a real big concern for us this week. Yeah. We've got to try and make sure that doesn't happen.
And Reprieve have raised that concern with the Foreign Office, and have asked them to liaise with the Iraqi authorities to make sure that Danny is placed in a safe place of detention, or if he is transferred to Rusafa prison, that he be placed in protective custody. And obviously we are hopeful that the Foreign Office will take these concerns as seriously as we are taking them, and will put pressure on the Iraqi authorities to ensure Danny's safety.